What is going on, survivors? For today's mod review, we're going to be talking about the Kanga Blacksmithing mod. So this mod is in beta stages, but we're going to go over what's currently available. I got to tell you, I'm really excited about this one. Let's get into it. So there are additional crafting stations that you're going to get out of this mod. Essentially, what this is going to do is make it so that there's a tier below the current metal tool system and one above the current metal tool system, and also reinforce and redesign exactly how those tools work, essentially making a more effective harvesting tool that's still metal and then still more of a weaker metal tool, kind of in between your stone tools and the first tier of metal. What you're gonna need or get to craft is a couple of things right off the bat in your inventory you can craft, and that's pretty much what's in frame right here. We'll talk about how all this stuff works, but primarily what you're gonna wanna pay attention to is there is a new metal node that you're gonna see spawn. So I'm over here on the island and I'm noticing they spawn over here on a herbivore island, but they look kind of like normal rocks, kind of in between that, what you would consider like a normal metal node to be. These are actually spawning on the map, and it depends on where certain creatures spawn. So we'll leave a link to the workshop page in the description of the video so you guys can check that out. But essentially where you find like ankylos, kentros, even something like dillos, you might possibly find these ore deposits hanging around. When you harvest them with a normal pick, you'll get metal ore, impure ore, stone, and a little bit of clay. The clay is nice because not all maps have access to clay, and you'll need that in order to craft certain things in this mod. But like I said, I'm out here on the island. If you're using this mod on the island, I would say check out Herbivore Island. That seems to be a pretty easy place to find it. The problem is the nodes are never like, the rocks are never like really big, but they're always generally that size. So in heavily rocky areas, even where these creatures spawn, sometimes it can be kind of a pain to find them actually. But a little bit of searching around, it's going to require a little bit of detective work, but it looks like wherever they do spawn, they'll continuously respawn they like share the spawn with the creatures. So if you're in an area with the animals listed that doesn't have any of those metal nodes, maybe kill off the creatures in the area, go outside a render, come back, and they'll probably be there. So let's head back. So again, the whole premise behind this mod is to basically add a tier above the metal node, the current metal tool system, and then a tier below it as well. That is where these things are going to come into play. So this normal metal ore is going to be used to melt down to make some ore bars, like metal bars essentially, and then the impure metal can actually put through a mill to actually start making actual regular metal for you, and that's the mill here. So you can build the mill currently, but you need some things in order to make it work. You'll need to make these stamp mill pistons to go inside of it. That is something that gets crafted over here on this blacksmith workbench. The blacksmith workbench is kind of your central location for a lot of the stuff in this mod. Most of your crafting is going to happen here. Some of the basic stuff you can craft on your person, but anything outside of that is going to get crafted here. So think of this as a tier 2, like a 3-tiered system, like weak metal tools, good metal tools, and like better metal tools is essentially what we're looking at here. The stamp mill, like I said, works sort of like a grinder. Like basically you're gonna put the pistons in one side, and then on this other side back here, it tells you can put stone in there to be squashed, but you can also put the impure metal ore in here too. Once the pistons are going, the windmill will turn and it'll churn the stuff out on this other side of this hopper, and it'll show up here and you can just pull it out. Pretty cut and dry. There's a couple of storage racks too. You have a weapon storage rack you can put weapons in, and you have a spear rack as well. This ingot shelf is a little bit different because what this does is you'll actually have hot ingots, and you can put these in here to have the ingots cool quickly. So there is a difference. You don't just have metal ingot in this mod. You have hot metal ingots, and then when they cool down, cool. Some items that you're going to craft require it to be cool. Some require it to be hot. You have a primitive coal burner that you can start off with ahead of time. This makes a special form of charcoal. You can just throw normal wood in here and turn it on. It makes a special form of charcoal that you're going to need to do pretty much anything in this mod. I have a primitive forge also made. You make the primitive forge on the blacksmith bench here. Once the primitive forge is made, you can see that you can turn normal raw metal that you find into metal ingot, and this turns into like a hot metal ingot. This is a hot weak metal ingot. There's a difference between them. Enriched coal you'll actually use when you have wood and you create a bellow to put on the forge. You'll be able to use the bellow. Down here in the middle, you'll see an option that says use bellows. You have to add the coal that you would get to the burner into this guy, hit this, airflow will come in, you'll be able to craft some stuff inside of here. You can also make some of the weak hammer heads too. You'll need the hammer to make some of these tools as well. That's the rough gist of it, but the actual items you can make are all in here. They're all located inside this bench. And again, there's multiple tiers and they're kind of worded on the side, which is really helpful so you can figure out exactly what you're looking at. Essentially, anything copper colored is weak, right? Your forged is kind of like your mid-grade essentially, and then your obsidian is like your high-end stuff. You'll be able to make certain resources that are all, again, it's all going to cater to making stuff in here. The piston fence, the pistons you'll be able to make in here for the mill that we just showed you, and you'll also be able to make repair kits for the different types of tools that you can make so that you can repair them on the fly. If you notice, all these that say blunt on them as well. So weapons obviously have a durability, but they also have a sharpening skill in this mod. All of this stuff caters to your crafting skill. The higher your crafting skill is, the better quality items you're going to make on top of this. So crafting skill definitely matters when you're using this mod. You'll be able to make some armors as well. You'll be able to make some of the flak chest pieces using forged armor parts, stuff like that. But then you'll also be able to make the mana core armor, which gives you just better armor. It's not just the skin, it actually does better armor for you. Again, all of this translates into your crafting skills. So that's how you're going to get your ramshackle, your apprentice, your journeyman, mastercraft, ascendant stuff, is having a higher crafting skill while you're using this stuff. So it's nice because you don't have to find the blueprints and you can still get to the better quality stuff while using this mod. You have a couple of storage racks. You get a hammer shelf I can make in here to store my hammers in. There's like extra crafting stations within the blacksmith station that really just adds a tier above the primitive stuff that you currently have. So there's an advanced forge, the bellows that we talked about that will hang on to the regular forge. You can make a larger bellow that would work with the advanced forge. The sharpening wheel sharpens, like I said, when we make tools that are blunt, you use the sharpening wheel to sharpen them up. The blacksmith anvil, you can use, you're going to make all sorts of items in a lot of this stuff. But basically, that's how this works. You have a sharpening tool, all that good stuff. I actually want to go back in here because there is a full blown out, like you have different, it's not just your metal tools, also applies to a lot of the weapons. So different grappling hooks, better arrows, a better crossbow. Like all of these primitive tools that a lot of times go to the way of the dodo come mid game when you get into higher end stuff, has a higher end version of it built into it. Cutting fluid you're going to use to make, you're going to use the cutting fluid to craft certain things, also to sharpen certain blades are going to be used with the sharpening tool, all that good stuff. This is awesome. Climbing picks, the scissors, all the different weapons. You're going to have different swords in here as well. The idea behind this mod is incredibly intriguing to me. I've been playing around with it for a little bit. I got to tell you, I love it. All your different spears, like this is really cool. This is really cool. I really like this. It's in the beta stages, so again, expect a lot of changes to come down the road. But I got to tell you, like, this is really cool. There's a lot of times I see mods that I'm either A, intrigued about, or B, really excited to see and play around with. This is definitely both. I want to see where this goes for sure. If you're looking for more of a primitive Ark experience, like not really having the tech stuff and some of the higher grade science fiction sort of genre stuff, this is a perfect mod for that, and it works really well. The idea of the metal nodes spawning where the creatures spawn is amazing because all the creatures that are listed currently spawn on just about any map that I could think of. So you're always going to have access to these metal nodes. Plus, the option with getting clay from those rocks means that you don't need to be in an area where clay is normally obtainable. You'll be able to harvest it from those rocks as well. This, man, I think this is brilliant. I really want to see where this goes. This is definitely, like I said, if you're running more of a primitive medieval sort of, this is like perfect with maybe castle keeps and fortresses, maybe the RR weapons mods be kind of cool to run with that. Any sort of medieval thing, I would imagine this would also work pretty well with some of the eco empire mods to kind of fit with that primitive sort of theme. This is a really cool one to definitely check out. Again, beta stages, I'm assuming there's going to be a lot of changes coming down the road, but I'm really excited to see this one. I also dig the idea behind the sharpness of the blades and then also the durability, right? So the durability and the sharpness of the blades actually mattering. I think that's hugely effective. Some things you'll be able to craft in your person also are these whetstones. So you'll be able to sharpen things on the go, so you don't have to always bring it back to something like the sharpening wheel in order to fix that issue. And there's different grades depending on the different tools that you're using. You'll be able to create molds, and you'll use the molds in conjunction with the metal and the forges to make certain ingots. Pretty straightforward stuff. It's just, I don't know, the expanse of this definitely reminds me of like what I envisioned Primitive Plus actually being until it kind of fell off the side of the world. Man, I gotta tell you, I'm genuinely intrigued about this one, and I'm looking forward to messing around with this a bit more. I'm really hopeful for this one, and it looks like it is currently being worked on and currently updated. It's not one of these that's in beta that we don't hear about. This is an awesome one. Plus, it looks like this mod creator is doing a lot of series of mods, and these things are turning out, I gotta tell you, pretty cool. I can't wait to check out some more of these from this specific mod creator. But that's about it, guys. It's a really fairly simple, it's a quick mod to explain, but there's so much in depth to it that you could seriously spend hours having a lot of fun with this and figuring out all the inner workings of it. We will leave a link to the Steam Workshop page in the description of the video so you guys can check that out at your leisure. And as always, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out. I will see you all on the next one.